Why, hello there, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. I just got done watching The Acolyte Episode 4, and I wanted to talk about it. If you've been paying attention to my channel, I've been a little bit more vocal about Lucasfilm and Disney on this channel because I feel like their communication, specifically before The Acolyte, has not been that good. And I have talked about that 15% Rotten Tomatoes score too, of course. But I haven't really dived too much into the intricacies of the story of The Acolyte. Now, if you don't know, I am a twin, so naturally I've gravitated towards that twin story of The Acolyte between Osha and her twin sister May. So I found this part of The Acolyte quite fascinating, and despite some of the cringe moments in episode 3, you know what parts I'm talking about, I've been willing to give episode 4 a chance until I watched it. So episode 4 for me is officially the turning point where I think this show I can no longer take seriously anymore. I was hoping that the May and Osha story would get a lot more interesting in episode 4, despite all the cringe moments in episode 3, but that was not the case. In fact, episode 4 was very short, and a lot of the characters were just walking through a forest. It was just a lot of forest, them walking around. Nothing was really happening. You know, there was some dialogue going on. I feel like Soul has the best dialogue and the best delivery of all of the characters. I feel like he really upholds the show, to be honest with you. And, May and Osha, I don't really dislike them. I've always kind of, again, gravitated towards their characters since they are twins. And even my twin bro says the same thing. But this episode, for me personally, I just did not like. And it came down to one part with May. And it was one of the biggest plot points of the entire show that they completely failed on. So when May was in the forest, walking around, searching for the Wookiee Jedi, she suddenly decides that she does not want to do this anymore, and she wants to turn herself in and go to the good side. And this switch was so sudden to me and out of the blue. Now, I know she was explaining that she was afraid that her master would kill her, and that killing this Wookiee would be impossible, and that she was scared, and she didn't want to go through with it. But we got to remember, up until this point, she killed Indara in the very first episode. She has shown signs of evil since childhood, basically, right? And all of this stuff has basically formed her character into an evil character. So for her to all of a sudden want to turn to the good side seems so out of the blue. Now, I will say this. They could have done the delivery of this part so much better. Because I feel like when she saw her twin sister Osha again, when May saw her twin sister Osha again in episode 2, that definitely had an impact on her because they mentioned how her eyes softened, how something changed in her, but they neglected to show this extremely important part, how she was feeling about this in episode 4. And if they would have done a super dramatic flashback of her twin sister and her remembering the memories of them when they were kids and the good feelings she had, and she was saying that she had this pull to the good side and she couldn't help it but feel this pull to the good side ever since she saw her sister. I think that would have gone over a lot better with the audience because, again, I even felt like that this was out of the blue and the biggest problem with the entire series so far because this is a huge plot point for one of the lead characters who is clearly evil to all of a sudden switch to the good side, and it happens like in the middle of the forest. And the way she was acting, by the way, was kind of comical. The way she was delivering her lines, like it was kind of lighthearted, and the dude was just hanging there by the rope, right? But yeah, what do you think about this particular part in episode 4, and how do you feel about the episode overall? Leave a comment down below. Now, the second part that I absolutely hated in episode 4 was the part with Kelnaka at the end. You're probably like me, and you've been really looking forward to seeing the Wookiee Jedi in the series. I have been waiting, I think it's been like a year since they have teased this Wookiee Jedi in the series. I could not wait to see more of Kanaka, or Kelnok, I should say, in this series. But when I saw that he was actually dead in his chair, I was like, they've got to be kidding. This could not be happening. And I kind of had a knee-jerk reaction with Indara as well with episode 1, because I was really looking forward to that character too, because I'm a huge Matrix fan. So I was looking forward to seeing her character in this series. So it's kind of like a double whammy with both Indara and the Kelnaka now dead. And I don't know if flashbacks in upcoming episodes are really going to save this series at this point, because we haven't had any real time established with this character. And I've seen a lot of people complain about this part, and I almost felt devastated. I was like, no, the Wookiee Jedi is dead? I just could not believe it. So, I think that they are not building up the death scenes properly, first of all. I'm kind of surprised that they wouldn't show the battle transpire between Kelnaka and the Sith character. I'm just shocked that we didn't get some epic battle between Kelnaka and the Sith character to finalize Kelnaka's death. They didn't give us any time with Kelnaka, so that death also was not as impactful either, because again, we didn't know Kelnaka, we didn't spend any time with him, and all of a sudden he's dead in the chair. So again, very disappointing. And how do you feel about that part of the episode? Leave a comment down below. Now, the cool part of the episode was definitely the ending part, right? Which lasts about 5 seconds, where the Sith finally shows up. I think that part was actually well executed. The effects were really cool when the Sith character used their Force push ability, or whatever that ability was, and sent them all flying back. I thought that was very impactful, very well done, and the acting on Osha's part was actually very well done as well. So I think that part for me was really cool, but it just ended so quickly. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this episode was only like 30 minutes long or something like that. So this whole episode for me is the tipping point where I don't know if it's going to get any better. Now, I know many of you are surprised by that, and you're probably like, what about episode 3? Wasn't that the tipping point for you? In episode 3, I was willing to kind of look past, right, and give it another chance with episode 4. But episode 4 for me has really done it. And, after this whole flip with May to the light side, I'm just not convinced that her character has been established well enough for that to even happen at this point. There wasn't enough of a reason or enough of a dramatic flashback to her seeing her sister for me to make for that to be believable. I mean, so yeah, that's how I feel about it. But let me know how you feel about it in the comments. And yeah, we'll see how episode 5 goes next week, right? I'm sure that one's going to go well. But I will see you all later. Take it easy, and may the Force be with you always.